Hi, and welcome back to Football Made Simple. Pep Guardiola and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer prepared to lock horns once again this weekend as Manchester City host Manchester United at the Etihad in the Premier League. The two men have had an interesting head-to-head against each other, with both winning 3 and a single draw. So, they have a good idea of each other's strengths and weaknesses. The derby is always a big fixture, but with City 14 points ahead, nothing but a win for United will do to keep any faint hopes of the league title alive. But what tactics could we see both managers use? Let's take a look. Firstly, how could they look to line up? Solskjaer will almost undoubtedly line up in a 4-2-3-1, and there are a few almost guaranteed starters. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire and Shaw will almost certainly make up 4 of the back 5, with a slight question mark on whether it will be Lindelof or Eric Bailly. Fernandes and Fred will be in midfield, with Matic or McTominay filling up the third spot. Rashford will start. It could be in any of the front 3 positions, but for this video, we'll have Greenwood on the right, Cavani up front if fit, and Rashford on the left. Pep, on the other hand, is as hard to predict as ever, but a 4-3-3 is likely. Pep rotates constantly in every position besides the goalkeeper. At centre-back, it'll be 2 of Stones, Diaz and Laporte, whilst 2 of Walker, Cancelo and Zinchenko will make up the remaining positions. We'll talk about how each player could affect the tactics differently if they start. In midfield, Rodri is likely to anchor, with De Bruyne and one of Gundogan or Bernardo joining, and as Gundogan started on the bench against Wolves, there's a good chance he'll start. Up front, all 3 positions are up for grabs, but with Aguero still being eased back in, Jesus is likely to start, and so is Sterling, a Pep favourite. The final place can be occupied by one of these 3, and if Foden starts, there's a chance Sterling will move to the right, with Foden on the left. But if Mahrez or Bernardo start, they will be on the right. Let's start with what United could look to do on the ball, and how City could look to counter that. United tend to build short when possible, and this is likely to continue with Maguire and Lindelof looking to drop deep to receive the ball and draw City higher into a press. However, City have at times been more cautious when pressing this season, and with the threat of United's pacey forwards running in behind, they may sit slightly deeper. And if City is sitting deeper in a 4-3-3 or 4-5-1 shape, we could see them try to filter United's play down the right-hand side. This is due to United's left-hand side being more competent on the ball, and generally having more threat down the left, in Maguire, Shaw and Rashford, in comparison to Lindelof or Bailly, Wan-Bissaka and James or Greenwood. If they do build down the left, we will likely see Maguire look to drive higher up at times, to create angles with Shaw moving ahead of him. And the movement between Shaw and Rashford will generally be key, particularly if Mahrez starts on the right, as he can at times be caught out defensively. If Shaw gets on the ball, he'll be looking to swing crosses in, particularly if Cavani starts, so the City centre-backs could have a big role to play. Alternatively, if it's Rashford on the ball, as we know, he'll look to cut in and get the shot off. But City are more likely to press in a 4-4-2, and this could be through the right winger pushing up, or alternatively De Bruyne pushing up from midfield. This would allow them to press the centre-backs more efficiently and stop the progress of Maguire. This will create an interesting dilemma in the midfield for City, as there will be 3 versus 2 down. If their midfielders look to push onto United's pivots, Bruno will be free between the lines from where he is deadly, and it will be up to the centre-backs or the pivots to find that penetrative pass. If City's pivots sit off of them, however, the United pivots tend to be less of a threat, as they don't have the passing range or incision to cause any real danger. Lastly, when we do see Wan-Bissaka overlap, particularly if Greenwood plays, it could leave space for Sterling to transition into on the left. But what could City look to do in possession, and how could United look to counter that? City, of course, will use a possession-oriented style, and while United could look to press at times, we have seen against tougher opposition they tend to sit a little deeper. If Walker starts, with Zinchenko at left back, which is a more cautious approach, Zinchenko will tend to move into the midfield, while City shift to a 3. If United's wingers look to push high up on the press, the midfield will be vulnerable, as they will be a man down, added to by the fact that Jesus often looks to drop into the midfield to exacerbate this. and both Stones and Diaz have the on-the-ball ability to play line-breaking passes into any free man. If it is Cancelo at left back, as we saw against Wolves, although he can cut infield, he is also able to provide the width down the left. This is particularly effective if the left-footed Laporte is a left centre-back, as he could also move higher to open the pitch up. This would also leave United's right winger with an option, as if he presses, Wan-Bissaka will be 2 versus 1 down against Cancelo and Sterling. This shape could also see Sterling potentially moving infield to the half space, which could allow Jesus to drop deeper even more, so United's right winger will be crucial in this phase. In prior matches, we have seen Ole deal with the threat of City in the half space as well, when it was the midfielders pushing high, as he could go man to man. But this modified structure for City will mean that Gundogan could still get space near the half space, while Sterling could stay higher, so United's pivot would have to make a choice on who to track. And if Cancelo starts at right back, we will see him look to move into midfield early. And Rashford can often be caught higher up the field, meaning that the right hand side may be something City look to exploit. This could be through one of Cancelo and De Bruyne moving into the half space, whilst the other looks to overlap, particularly if the right winger is left-footed. This gives them the room to play the reverse ball for the cross. Alternatively, if the run is covered, the cross into the back post could be a big factor, so Lindelof or Bailly will have to be aware of bodies arriving. But the transition presents a major opportunity for United. If Cancelo is at right back and moving high upfield, United could look to isolate Rashford against Stones, where he can undoubtedly use his pace to make runs into the space and look to get a shot off. So, Ederson's positioning will also be crucial in deciding whether to push up to sweep or not. This may be why Walker could start, as he has the pace to keep up with any attacker in the league. So, the left could be exploited instead once again, especially behind Zinchenko, who would struggle to keep up with the pace of either Dan James or Greenwood. So, the covering centre-back has to be aware. While Cancelo may have a better chance of keeping up if he starts on the left, his roaming nature means that he will unlikely be deep in these scenarios. These are just a few of the potential areas to keep an eye on. And of course, either manager could spring some surprises on us. But what do you see being the key areas? What tactics do you think both managers will use? Drop it down in the comments below. A quick shout out to my Patreons for helping to make this video possible. If you want to support, head on over to patreon.com/footballmadesimple and you'll get rewards like early access to videos and exclusive content. And a massive thanks to Nicholas Nilsson, Nate Wathen, Terence Kennel, and Jack Brain for helping to support FMS on Patreon. But that's all for today, and remember, keep it simple.